So let's talk about the raw vegan diet and libido. There's some kind of concern sometimes out there that if you're eating a vegan or a raw vegan diet, especially for men, maybe for women as well, that means that you maybe don't have the hormones to create, I don't know, the sexual hormones that lead to people having a sex drive, you know. Sorry, I'm just, I'm just getting this in a nice little place. That looks okay. So people are kind of worried about that for some reason. People connect certain foods with manliness, masculinity, maybe even femininity, but mostly like meat and stuff gets connected with masculinity a lot of the time. And therefore people worry that it'll be less manly or have less libido or whatever if they go on a raw vegan diet. Now we have seen some reports from people saying that they went raw vegan and their sex drive changed. I don't know if there's any consistency to it. I think some people said it went up. I think some people said they had less of a sex drive, but I don't know. Some people, I remember Mike Arnstein making a video about it, but he didn't seem to say he had less of a sex drive. It seemed like what he said was he wasn't as controlled by it or something like I'm not sure. It was something like that, but he was more at peace or something like that. And then there's some people that say, when I increase the fat in my diet, if I'm on a raw vegan diet, if I increase the fat, then my sex drive goes up or whatever. So some people think it's related to fat and all that kind of stuff. Something we know about sex drive is definitely if your sex drive goes down, it can be related to one of the biggest mistakes that people make. I bang on about this all the time, but with a raw vegan diet, people don't eat enough. People undereat on a raw vegan diet quite a lot, and that can lead to people your sex drive going down because your body prioritizes other things. In that case, if you're literally not eating enough food, your body's got to prioritize staying alive and staying healthy. So that's and it's also a sign, like if you think about it on an evolutionary standpoint, like if you can't get enough food, maybe you don't deserve to have sex or something. I don't know, like you don't deserve to reproduce. Maybe that's part of it as well. I don't know exactly. So if you're not getting enough food, then sorry, you don't get to have sex. You're not worth it or something like that. I don't know. Maybe there's something to do with that. Personal experience. I don't think I've ever been a super high sex drive person, libido person in my life. I don't know. Maybe at times. I'm not really sure. I don't know, probably average-ish, something like that. I don't know exactly. But I think there's an interesting thing here where the idea of the higher fat diet, I think that the higher fat diet actually makes people feel less satisfied. I think the raw vegan diet can make people feel a lot, like a high fruit diet, when you eat enough fruit, people can feel very satisfied and very kind of satisfied and full and happy, and maybe you don't need anything else. Maybe you're not as craving for some other stimulation. And on a higher fat diet, I think people are still looking for something else, not just diet wise, food wise, but they're looking for something, and that might lead to them wanting to engage in sexual activity just for something to feel or do because they don't quite feel satisfied inside. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it's sometimes the way that I've kind of looked at it. And I've kind of noticed that experience a little bit. There's been a few times where people have went on vegan or raw vegan diets, men I'm talking about, and there was some men who said they were vegan, whatever, they had fish or they had meat, and the next day they had like a morning erection. So a lot of men get an erection in the morning, and these guys apparently had fish or something, and the next day their erection was back and they'd lost their morning erection, I suppose. And I had a friend who talked about that, but he said it only happened once or something, or it lasted twice or something, and then went away. So I think that might have been more of a psychological thing potentially, and that they were kind of worried or scared, or they weren't believing or trusting what they were doing, and eating some meat helped them relax maybe, or more or something like that. I don't know. I think I think there was a woman as well that said a similar thing, like her sex drive was higher when she went back to eating meat or something like that, or what have you. Um, and then there's the other thing of like, well, what's like? So there was a girl in a group. She was talking about being with some raw vegan or fruitarian guys. I actually knew the girl, and she was talking about, and I knew one of the guys, at least maybe a couple of them. She was saying that she'd wanted to sleep with some guys who were kind of fruitarian guys, but they couldn't maintain an erection, right? And I've had plenty of situations in my life where I didn't maintain an erection before I was vegan, raw vegan, before I was anything like that. I've not had morning erections since I was 16 or 17 or something, or 18. I don't know what age. And for me, like, it's just not as simple. And I don't know why. For me, I no no I'm not going to pretend that I can figure myself out, but it seems to me that I don't really do well with random sort of casual encounters, and that doesn't really work for me. So if someone's looking for that, I'm not that great for that. Definitely physically, erection wise and all that, libido wise, it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't happen for me. It just doesn't work like that. And maybe I'd like that sometimes. That would be simpler or easier, but it's just like my body's just like, nah. I can't do anything about it. But it's just like, nah. There's just not enough something. And people might say to me, well, you're insecure, you're unconfident, you're not relaxed. And I don't know, maybe it's all that stuff as well, but I've never in the moment felt super unrelaxed or insecure or whatever. I just didn't feel turned on fully. This is kind of quite an open video for people who are watching this. But what I've basically noticed or realized is, for me, there's got to be some kind of, I don't know what you call it, emotional connection, maybe spiritual connection, maybe something greater, I don't know. But it's I feel it in the heart. When people talk about your heart, following your heart, that's and that's where you feel love for people. I'm sure you've felt that or whatever. And I think that's a rare thing. That's a rare thing, and it's just like my body's, the rest of the time my body's just going, nah, don't do this. this isn't whatever. But a lot of people don't like that and aren't used to that, and especially if you were to do like more casual, people that are maybe more used to casual stuff, they're more used to just like no emotions, no connection. You just bang away at each other. Hopefully you have some fun or enjoy it, and then you go your separate ways. And it's not that I've not been involved in that, but it's like I've never really enjoyed that fully, and I always thought I'm making a mistake when when I was getting involved in that. I was always like, this is not, I shouldn't do this, but I am going to do this, like, because there's a part of you that still sort of wants that, but most of me was like, not really. But I never attributed any of that to my diet, because that's an experience that I had before my diet. That was an experience I had with with the long-term relationship I had before I ever changed to vegan or vegetarian or anything. And I was a pretty, whatever you want to call it, healthy, fit. But like, I didn't have coffee, alcohol, cigarettes, none of that stuff, drugs. I was exercising, so I was healthy, fit, whatever. I just didn't feel it, I guess. And I don't know exactly what was missing. I mean, the thing that I'm always looking for, really, with friendships and relationships alike is like this trust and intimacy and this deep connection thing. Now that's a very difficult thing to do and find, or or like, even, and even in saying that, like, it's so easy for me to say that's what I'm looking for, but it's quite scary if you find that. It's quite difficult if you find that, to even think that you're worth that or whatever. It's so it might be the case that I've went for situations in which I kind of knew from the start the other person wasn't open to that. I don't know, but it's where I'm at, and I don't know if any of that's. I mean, that could be to some degree to do with being a raw vegan. I don't really think it is, and I don't know if that's the experience with the other guys. When I've heard other stories, because I think that sometimes, like this girl that was telling the story and saying there was a bunch of raw vegan guys or fruitarian guys that didn't get erections. Now, I'm sure you can speak to a lot of women and they'll tell you about all sorts of men and all sorts of diets that didn't get an erection when they wanted to have sex with them. And women seem to like blame themselves a lot of the time, I think. So they can blame themselves, or they blame the guy or whatever. He had a problem. It depends on the type of person they are. They might go, he's got a problem, there's something wrong with him. Or they say, I'm not attractive, what's wrong with me? It can go both ways. But it's not really that. It's about whether the two people in that moment have a connection. And for men, sex and sexuality is also an emotional thing and a love thing. It's not for all. I appreciate that if women have had casual sex, I appreciate you've had sex with guys that's not what it was. That wasn't it for them. And I would suggest that a lot of those guys probably have some work to do. I mean, not to sound superior or whatever, but I do think people have a bit of work to do in all these areas. Like, if you're just willing to just have sex with anything, like, I don't know. I don't think that's a great way of. I don't think that's the best way of things. Who knows? So I don't know. I think that people aren't appreciating that's important to a lot of people. That's important to a lot of men, not just women. Actually, there's a lot of women that emotional connection stuff isn't even something they're particularly bothered about, and so when they're not bringing anything to the table emotion wise, and they've got a mask up and they've got a whole fake personality persona up protecting them, and they're just looking for casual hookups, then they've created that whole character, they've created that whole defense mechanism, they've created that whole like defense system to stop actually saying, hi, this is me really, here, this is me authentically, and in this moment, I'm kind of scared about all this. And instead what people do is they want to make this big confident nonsense stuff, and for me, I feel like I see through that a lot, and I don't like it, and it doesn't resonate, and it's not attractive fully, and so but that's not what a lot of people want, and there's a lot more to what women need from men to be attracted to them, and there's a lot of sound in here, and I don't even feel right now, I've not really been with anyone in a long time, not really a long time, but a long time for my pattern over the last 3 or 4 years, but not a long time for most people. So I don't know, 6 or 7 or 8 months ago, and I've been on some dates since then, but I've kind of enjoyed not dating really a lot, and you know, I don't know why I'm going into this, but I just there's I just think that people don't take the time to work on themselves, and I don't even mean work on themselves. There's no work involved. It's just the natural processes of your emotional system. If you're with someone and you break up, then it takes a little while for your body to kind of, emotions, mentality to kind of get used to being you again or alone again or whatever. And I think people make a big mistake of going into the next situation, then that doesn't work out, then they go into the next one, then that doesn't work out, and they just have no clue who they are. So when they're coming to the table of relationship, like, they've developed a nice set of routines and things to say and how to be attractive and little performances, but they're not really bringing themselves to the table because they're too scared to even share that with anyone in case they get rejected. Because your fake self being rejected is like, that's okay because that's not really you. But if your real self is rejected and you really gave that person your all or whatever, then that's really painful, super painful. And who wants to feel pain? Well, no one wants to feel pain, but you got to risk pain. I mean, this is the other side of love, right? Heartbreak. So what are you gonna do? Live like on the middle road all the time, like the middle road of like shallow fake relationship stuff? No, I think you need to open up to the possibility of being really hurt. If you find someone you really like, you really have feelings for, then you can get really hurt, and it's just the nature. That's just the risk of life, you know. But as long as you follow, I kind of believe, as long as you follow your truth, your heart, you be honest, you can't really fail. You know, I don't think you can really fail. You can get in a relationship, it doesn't work out. But I really think, you know, when people get really angry about their old relationships and they really hate the other, I mean, maybe there's a lot of mentally ill, bad people, evil people that are manipulating everyone into relationships and abusing them. And maybe that's always happening. But I tend to think that people are just resentful because in reality, their expectations of that relationship were not real. And they were looking to control. They were looking to have power. They were looking to something else. You know? Maybe I'm wrong about all this because I'm not an expert, but I just think that that's where resentment comes. Having unrealistic maybe expectations as well, and you know, if you come from a place of lust, that lust is going to run out. And if you come from a place of wanting power over an attractive person or something, or being like the popular person because you're with this great person, that's going to run out, you know. And I don't know, I think the only thing that is going to be real and constant, well, I don't really know, but I would say, do you really have a deep and loving and trusting connection with the other person? And if you really do have that, I doubt that people are going to want to throw that away for like another fling or whatever else. But yeah, I don't know. This is a bit of a stream of consciousness at the end of this video, I suppose. You know, a guy said this thing, it was so profound. He talked about, because I was thinking about over some past experiences, and he said, an adult, I don't know if he said an adult relationship or a mature relationship, not sure the words. He goes, what's required for a real adult relationship is emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy means two people sort of laying on the table, being completely vulnerable and laying everything about themselves like on the table in front of each other in a way, metaphorically, and accepting each other, and you know, being vulnerable like that essentially, and not looking for any, this is an important thing, not looking for any power or control over the other person. I thought, wow, that's amazing. Like that's I kind of feel like that's what I've always sort of been looking for, and it's kind of been missing a little bit, you know. I'm not sure why, but and I fully understand that I was probably not the right person for people I've been with to want to do that with, you know. So that's the way it is. So anyway, libido, as I say, I think firstly, I think it can be connected to your psychological state, your mental state, your emotional connection with the other person. It can be connected to your diet, but most likely the quickest thing to make your libido go away is to undereat, and also to be supremely unhealthy, being incredibly overweight and all that stuff. You can lose your erections by the blood vessels in your penis being blocked by the same blockages that lead to heart disease. In fact, erectile dysfunction is an indicator of early onset heart disease. But outside of that, I don't think there's a lot in the whole concept of raw vegans having no libido or less libido or anything like that. And I don't know if having a super high libido is like a good thing anyway. Like it seems to be that the people that have, if the more sex a person has, the more they want. It's like the opposite of, it's kind of, I guess, like cooked food or whatever. It's like you never really satisfy that urge. You only want more and want more and want more. So I don't know if it's a healthy thing. I don't know if it's a good indication that a person is in a good place with themselves. So yeah, I don't think there's much to say about this. I think that your libido will be the best if you're the healthiest you can be, and you're in the healthiest type of relationship you can be in, and that is, you know, the difficult path. That is the complicated path. So thank you for watching this video, and feel free to subscribe or comment below, or share it with others if you think it makes some sense, and I might see you in another video.